What's up, guys? Welcome back to more Reddit stories about entitled people, crazy people, and everything in between. As usual, we got some more Reddit posts to check out today, so be sure to subscribe if you're new here, and let's begin. Keep touching my wheelchair when I've told you no. I'm a wheelchair user. Wheelchairs are considered extensions of our bodies, and touching their chair without permission is a no-no. Moving someone's wheelchair without asking is an even bigger no-no. I'd explained to a classmate again and again that it was rude, inappropriate, and even harassment that he kept touching my chair, or moving me without asking. And when I told him not to, he not only kept doing it, but was insistent that he had the right to do so. I'd even gone as far as to illustrate the issue to him by getting permission to touch his shoulders or elbows and moving him out of the way, or leaving my hands on his shoulders and leaving them there until it was awkward. Even this didn't dissuade him or change his entitled insistence that he had the right to touch my chair whenever he wanted to, even when I told him no. But usually he'd let go, kind of scoff and move on. This was over the course of most of a college semester. It was a voice class at a community college, so there were less than 20 of us, so our professor had witnessed many of these incidents. One day, he touched my chair again and wouldn't move his hand when I politely asked him to stop. He refused to let go and again insisted that he wasn't doing anything wrong, and that he had the right to do so, so it wasn't a big deal, etc. I turned my chair around lightning fast, grabbed his stunned hand hard enough, hopefully to bruise. I've got good upper body and hand grip strength. Pulled him down as harshly as I could, and then slapped him in the face hard. The rest of the class heard the slap and his pained and surprised yelp, and turned to look at us. He screamed and ran over to the professor to whine that I'd grabbed him and hit him. The professor just kinda shrugged and said something along the lines of, "She told you to stop touching her." He kept whining about it to the professor that I'd be punished for assaulting him, etc., only for the professor and the rest of the class to just ignore him that day and for the rest of the semester. In any case, the whole class had heard me explain time and time again not to touch me or my chair and how and why it was inappropriate, and had asked if I needed help, but I'd always declined. At the end of the class that day, I got high fives, and he kept his distance from me, occasionally glancing over at me fearfully. Good prudence, frankly. The last third or so of the semester, no one wanted to work with him when we were paired up in groups of 3 to 4 to work on songs together. People for the most part didn't love working with him before, but after it became clear that the professor was on my side, not his, it was as if he was invisible. Kid breaks stuff and parents are surprised they have to pay for it. Your kid breaks $150 worth of product? Don't be surprised when I charge you for it. My night job is at a specialty pet food and treat store, and we also offer grooming in a self-wash grooming station where you can come in and wash your pet. Had a couple come in with their human son, who was about 9 years old, to wash their dog. The couple went in with the dog and left their son to wander around the store. As I'm by myself, I didn't notice he was unsupervised until they had already gone in and started washing their dog. I spent 15 minutes finishing my baking, taking care of customers, and following this kid around to clean up after him. He was grabbing random toys and playing with them, then setting them down wherever, bouncing all the tennis balls, grabbing leashes off the shelf, and pretending they were lassos. He was also bothering my customers, asking them random questions as they tried to shop. After I asked him 3 times to stop messing with things and other people, he went over to our baked treats table. I knocked on the self-wash door and asked the parents to please bring their son into the wash with them, or to let him sit in the car while they finish, and they told me that they were almost done and that their son was never a problem. I explained that he was disturbing other customers and playing with random items that I was having to clean up, and the woman looked me right in the eyes and said, "Yeah, that's your job." I told her my job was to run the store, not to babysit customers' children, and she rolled her eyes at me and said they were almost done. I come back to the sales floor and the kid had crumbled 3 cakes and a whole bunch of treats, as well as snapped a bunch of bully sticks and other dried treats. He smiles and bounces off, and I start to gather and ring up the items. The parents come out of the self-wash and I add that to the transaction, and tell them their total is $149.76. Both their mouths drop, and the guy says $150 to wash my f***ing dog? I say, "No sir, the self-wash was $16. The rest is to cover what your son destroyed." The mom says her son didn't destroy anything, and I gesture to the pile of broken cakes and treats. Actually, ma'am, he did. He broke all of this after I asked you to please supervise him. She started arguing and saying that I must have broken them all because I didn't like having her son in the store. Yes, because I love baking a bunch of stuff just to destroy it. Yep, you got me. I had a feeling this was going to be the reaction, so I already had the video from our cameras ready on my phone to show her. This isn't your son walking over to our table and smashing those cakes and treats? This isn't your son going to the bully bar and snapping them in half? She didn't say anything for a second, and then told me she didn't think they should have to pay for them. I told her that her child broke them after I asked them to watch him or let him sit in the car, so it was their responsibility to cover our losses. She asked to speak to the manager and was very disappointed when I pointed to my name tag that has manager under my name. You are speaking to a manager, ma'am. Anything else I can help you with today? If not, your total is $149.76. She glared at me, but put her card in and paid, and they left, looking like they were screaming at the kid the whole way to the car. Not donating my liver due to a lawsuit and the person died. I'm a 24-year-old male and my partner is a 23-year-old female. Her close friend and boss, a 50s male at the mechanic shop, needed a liver transplant. They had been on the list for a while and was getting nowhere. Lots of us got tested and I was a match. We were all happy and thrilled that this direct donation could take place. A week before the surgery date, police showed up at our house to arrest my partner, as her boss, the person who was getting a piece of my liver, had accused her of theft. He claimed she'd stolen thousands from his bank account and stolen from the cash box. The police showed us the CCTV in which she reaches into the box, takes money and walks out of frame. 15 times, 15 days, 15 accusations. The police admitted they had no proof it was theft, and no clue on the amounts taken as she used the box to take customers' money and change. The police also said they didn't see how she accessed the bank accounts, and that they felt this was some sort of insurance fraud and they needed a scapegoat. I immediately rang the hospital and my transplant coordinator and backed out of the surgery. We got on with our lives. Partner found a new job and attended the court date where the case was thrown out 6 months later. A week after the case was dismissed, we got word boss had died. No one else had been a match or willing to get tested after news got out, and they never found a match in the transplant system in time. I feel so guilty. I allowed someone to die, pretty much murdered them. I let pettiness get in the way of saving a life. My partner and friends feel I did the right thing. None of this is on me, and not giving a piece of me to the person possibly putting my partner in prison for a long time a week before surgery is my choice and the right choice. Boss's friends and family have been ringing non-stop, harassing us at our jobs and posting online a lot how I'm a murderer and killed boss, that I should have given the liver anyway and been a good person. I feel I should have given it, but who bites the hand that feeds? I didn't want to get cut open, risk dying and other complications for someone who didn't care for me and mine, but now someone is dead from something I could have prevented. I'm conflicted and losing sleep over this. Edit. Thank you for all the positive and informative feedback. I think seeing the outside impartial view on this has helped me put it in perspective. I've only been focusing on my selfishness causing his death, as opposed to his actions contributing to. I'll be getting some counseling as suggested to help deal with the constant what-ifs in my brain, and to help me move past this and to stop shouldering the burden. Clearing up a few things. My girlfriend didn't steal. She was just doing her job getting change and paying invoices. The wife of the boss, who admitted to stealing later, simply used the footage of my girlfriend accessing the cash box to try to make it seem like she stole. I didn't state she was innocent as it's innocent until proven guilty, and she wasn't found guilty. My mistake. It's been pointed out that with boss so unwell, perhaps it wasn't him doing this, but his wife. That's a great point I never considered, and now makes me feel even more guilty. I should have checked. We are in the UK, so I guess our legal system works differently to the States, in that I didn't have to pay bail, just simply take her home and take her to the court dates. This could be why the policemen told us straight it seemed like bull, and were very candid and kind to us. They even bought us lunch when one went to Subway. Also, as said, the surgery would have probably been cancelled anyway, as I did have another welfare check or two scheduled for that week with the transplant team at the hospital, and I was hugely stressed out. My work gave me that week and the following off anyway for being such a good sport. Thanks for the DMs calling me a murderer. Appreciated. I personally think no one should be held responsible for someone's death for deciding not to donate an organ. It's definitely a very complicated and sensitive situation. It's probably a pretty tough and scary thing to decide to do in the first place, undergoing invasive surgery and giving part of your body to someone. But when you add all those other complications on top of it, with them apparently trying to frame OP's girlfriend, and seemingly are trying to commit some kind of fraud while all this is going on, it's like, what do you expect? It's totally understandable that OP would want to back out at that point. But even with all that considered, the kind of guilt someone must feel after making that decision has probably got to be pretty tough. So I hope OP's doing well, and I hope he's been able to work through this. Old drunk neighbor walking into our house uninvited. My fiance and I bought an old house in a nice neighborhood about a year and a half ago. So far, our neighbors are fine. Our direct neighbors are actually our best friends. The guy behind us, though. His name is Bob. Bob used to own our best friend's house, and because our house was abandoned for a while, he'd take care of the lawn. Once our friends bought his house and he moved to the house behind ours, he put in a gate so he could cut through their backyard to get to the other side of the block. Obviously, that's not cool, but whatever. They've asked him to stop repeatedly. When my fiance did a walkthrough of the house before we moved in, Bob walked into the house where my fiance was literally walking through and started telling him what he should do with the inside of the house. He was insisting on doing this or that. It was very annoying. He really feels like he knows best. When we bought the house, we had plumbers over. It needed a lot of work. Who decided to just walk right into our house uninvited, didn't knock or anything? Bob. Walked in like he owned the place. The plumbers were very confused. Again, he started offering unsolicited advice and directions to the plumbers. We needed to get work done on the garage, so it was around 5 p.m. and the contractor was finishing up. Bob comes walking over and walks right into the garage and starts asking the contractor questions as if he lives here. Then he comes up to the side door, knocks like crazy, and when we answer, he goes, "What the f*** is up?" We're like, "Contractors are working, Bob. What do you need?" And he complains that he can't take a damn nap because of all the noise. Why is that funny to us? Because he blasts music in his backyard every day, regardless of the weather, very, very loud. You can hear it from inside your house. No one says anything though, because sadly it's a very good playlist. Anyway, he will refuse to look at me or acknowledge my existence. He always only greets my fiance, and if I talk, he will look at my fiance and not respond to what I say. It's very frustrating and insulting. Well, that's our neighbor Bob. He's also a gardener and a racist and a drunk who passes out in his lawn. It's like a cartoon. Anyway guys, that's all for today. Thank you for watching, I appreciate it. Be sure to like and subscribe for more Reddit stories, and I'll see you in the next one.